All right, welcome back to the show, everyone. I'm Tony, and with me and my co-host is Tim. Tonight we're breaking down the action from the Kansas Kayak Anglers #2 tournament at Melvern Lake. So we have with us tonight in third place with 77.5 inches and his first time appearance on the show. Let's give him a big round of applause, Jeff Patton. How you doing, Jeff?
I'm all right. How are you?
Good. In second place with 83 inches and returning guest, Mr. Shaky Head himself, Mark Pontuti. How you doing, Mark?
Good, and you?
Good.
Doing good.
And in first place, and your Melvern Lake champ, who's running a bit late, so he'll be on in a minute. Yep. So Cole Spriggs, he'll be here in a minute. But thank you all for coming tonight. We're really looking forward to the show. Getting a little bit of talk about the juice from last week's tournament at Melvern. And as always, we always like to talk about upcoming events. First off is our next Kansas Kayak Anglers Tournament, which is going to be a state lake roadrunner. So if you're able to fish any state lake in Kansas, you don't have to just fish any that we choose. I did make so if you go out on the Kansas Kayak Anglers website and you look at the big bass or the AOI, ROI, if you look at the bottom of the spreadsheet, there's tabs. One of the tabs says state lakes. You're welcome to go there and look, but I did pull that information directly from the KDWP website. So that's Kansas Department of Wildlife and Parks. And it has the different regions: Northeast, Northwest, Central. I think there's 4 or 5 regions. And so any one of those state lakes are in play. And if you have questions about it, just reach out to your admin team. And if you're questioning something. For that one, we will not have an award ceremony, but because everybody can be anywhere in Kansas, and it's going to be kind of difficult to meet up. We haven't 100% decided yet. We're either going to do a quick podcast here that night of the tournament to announce the winners, or we'll do a Facebook Live stream where we just announce them after the tournament, and everybody kind of gets home. Kind of depends, I think, how far Tim and I are away and Todd are away from where we're going fishing, which I haven't decided yet, but I do have questions about that later for you guys. So just a few rule reminders now that we're in 2 tournaments have been completed in Kansas Kayak Anglers. A reminder that if you've already done one of those 2 tournaments and you're not a member, in order to do another second, third, fourth tournament, you do need to be a member of the Kansas Kayak Anglers. You can also find that membership information on the website, and send that membership funds to I believe it's TC Graves, but it's on there. So there he is, Mr. Champ, Mr. Finesse, or not so finesse this time around, Cole Spriggs. How you doing, Cole?
Good. How are you guys?
Doing
Great.
good.
We're just talking about upcoming events. So, and then next week, Tuesday, May 12th, if you're around the Topeka area or doing the sunflower, are doing a sunflower at Osage State Fishing Lake, which is actually on the State Lake Roadrunner. So if you like Osage State Fishing Lake, you can go give it a shot, and maybe you can figure out what's going on there and get you a nice limit. So, and as always, we want to thank Melvern Lake Marina for their support, their hospitality, and the fantastic taco bar, and a place to have our award ceremony. So it was pretty awesome. I'm glad everybody got to come out to that. If you missed it, I'm sorry you missed it. And looks like Derek's on. So what's up, Derek? So I think that's about it. I think everybody wants to hear what the juice is. So Tim, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, I think we're going to start with Jeff over here, since he's the new guy. And Jeff, we're just going to ask you a few questions. So how did you get started out in just fishing in general and the love for fishing?
My dad started taking me when I was real young, like 5, 6 years old, probably younger than that. Obviously probably not fishing much, but I remember fishing when I was 5, 6 years old and just really getting into it, loving it. By second grade, that's all I wanted to do was fish.
And what about the kayak side of things? How did you get into the kayak side of things?
The kayak side of things, I just probably back in 2016, maybe 17. I bought one. I bought a Perception and just started fishing. And then I didn't really know any much about kayak tournament fishing until I ran into Tony and Tim at Shawnee Boat Ramp one day, about 4 years ago, probably. I'd say. They're we do tournaments, and then it was on from there. I used to do bass boat tournaments way back in the late 90s, and so I wasn't new to tournament fishing. I just wasn't unaware there was a kayak stuff that was so big. So.
Yeah, little do people know this guy actually catches a lot of fish, so a lot of big fish. I seen him lose some big ones and some Tuesday nighters too that were pretty big fish. So, but yeah, that's pretty cool. So are you going to continue with kayak fishing, you think, for a while, or you go back to boat, or?
No, sorry. I don't see any reason to stop. I mean, I've had bass boats before, and they're just money pits, I swear.
Yeah, they are.
You can't throw enough money at them damn things. But these kayaks are getting that way too. You can't, I mean,
yeah.
You know, it ain't nothing to have $7,000 in a rig out there, and you're not even keeping up with the Joneses.
Yep, you're correct.
I feel like you're looking at me, Jeff. No.
Yeah. Can't keep up with Tony. Well, that's cool. Did you want to add anything else, Jeff, to your past fishing experiences, or?
I don't think so.
You got a first at the Sunflower as well, didn't you? Last year?
I've got 2 or 3 first places at Sunflower.
Okay.
A couple of Shawnee and a couple of Lone Star, I think.
Okay. Very nice. Cole, we're going to talk to you now. Tell us about your tournament day. How did it start? What were some of the decisions that you made going into the day, and what were some of the key baits, and kind of walk us through your day?
Yeah. Well, back it up all the way to Friday en route to Melvern. Mark was gracious enough to get us a campsite. So I thought, oh, why not? Even though it's not that far from home. And I tend to approach pre-fishing a little different than a lot of folks. I don't go to pre-fish the spot I want to fish for the tournament. I come up with a theory, my best bet, if I was showing up the morning of. And for pre-fishing, I like to just kind of go off the rails, right? Try a new place I've never been to on the lake. If it's a brand new lake, I'm just covering shoreline. But I've been on Melvern before. So I really wanted to go up a creek based on the time of year and what I thought the largemouth would be doing. But based on the stained water, my kryptonite, I held off and just went and worked a different area of the lake I hadn't been in a long time. Caught fish, but nothing sizable. And so the morning of the tournament, I went to my plan A. But my main theory, be interested to hear if Mark found the same thing, or Jeff as well. But I had learned quickly that I'm a big fan of paying attention to how our reservoirs manage water. I've learned a lot about that, they become on fire when they're flooded, right? And the bass can move up into the bushes that are now underwater. But then when you add in the layer of them opening up the spillway, to around 700 cubic feet, I tell a lot of guys to lean into reading those charts, because when the inflow is greater than the outflow, you're going to be good. But when that inverses, which happened on about Thursday, the bass get real finicky, especially the larger ones, and they want to move back to what I call existing shoreline. So where is the lake at pool? Where are they comfortable? And if they move up to feed in a foot or two of water, but the lake is now 4 foot high, it's going to tell you that's going to pull them back to that, what looks like on your graph 4 or 5 feet deep. When in reality, that's their feeding grounds. Big fish don't want to get trapped shallow, especially when that lake, like I think Melvern is dropping about 6 to 8 inches a day with their release. And so that was my strategy, right? I went and found, okay, where do I know fish normally live? And instead of fishing the shoreline, I fished a little more offshore, but it's really onshore when the lake is normal.
I have to say I owe you a 16-inch smallmouth, because when you told me that morning, and I was on this point, and I went out to the existing shoreline, and I started casting. I caught that 16.25, so I appreciate that.
Anytime.
Some pretty good advice, and it worked. So yeah, you had an incredible day, 93.25 inches, which is, you actually had 94.25, but you caught the same fish twice. So you had an incredible day. Was it a grind all day, or did it happen early? And then tell us about, I know that you were talking about some of those fish that popped off your line there that were just gut wrenching.
Yeah, it was one of those where the stars aligned. That doesn't happen. I think first cast was an 18-inch smallmouth, and then it slowed for me, but picked up. I was consistent. My goodness, the amount of 17-inch smallies I had, I had probably caught 30 to 40 smallies that, fish that day. But most of the size came at around 9 o'clock, I'm going to say, with another little pop around 10, 11 o'clock. And then it was kind of a grind from that point, to get any, a sniff of an upgrade. But most of the strategy was, again, understanding where I thought bass wanted to be, which I get wrong most of the time. But then I got pushed. A good buddy of mine that catches some huge smallmouth has been catching them on a glide bait, the bait that I don't throw frequently and I don't use. It was an 8-inch glide bait, so it wasn't even a small one. And he swore by it. He said, just try it. And that's what I think gave a lot of the fish that were what I call under the smallmouth slot that would probably have gotten into a boat live well or put on a stringer. Were hitting it. Didn't make any sense to me because the shad that I saw that were popping were 2 inches long, if that. Definitely didn't match the hatch, but I think they were aggressive enough to, go after it. And it wasn't, I still caught them on bottom bouncing Ned style baits as well, but the bigger ones seemed to wanted a bigger meal at that time.
And you said you caught probably 30 smallmouth?
Yeah, at least.
I'm going to follow this guy around. That's amazing.
Well, it was just one of those where I think the key difference was instead of pitching my bait to the shore, I got in the water column that I knew they'd want to be on. And so my casts had a lot more, they covered more water than I think most guys that were going straight to the bank. I was running where I kind of put my kayak in 5 foot of water, maybe 7 foot, and kind of have a slight angle to it. And so I was keeping the bait in that zone for the whole cast.
Very nice. I found that like 8 to 8'1", like that range, and you 45 the bank is, I've had the best luck with smallmouth.
Yep.
It works pretty good. Mark, we'll go to you. What about you? How did your day start? Did it?
Yeah. So going back to the Friday, every year I fish the same area in pre-fish, and every year I've committed to that area, and every year at about 8, 9 o'clock, the wind has forced me off that area. So I went and fished it on Friday. I got a few small fish there, but I was catching crappie, I was catching sockeye, and I looked at the wind for Saturday, and I just saw 5 to 10 miles an hour, and I said, you know what, I ain't going to get messed up again with this wind. I'm just going to hit the Marina area. And so that's what I committed to. And my day started off pretty slow. I think the first fish I caught, I was fishing outside the Marina, and I think 3 out of my 5 fish came outside the Marina. But first 45 minutes, I never had a fish. I think at about 7:45 or whatever, 45 minutes into, that's when I got 2 fish back-to-back casts. It went quiet again. But I was finding the exact same thing that Cole was saying, is had to be in 5 to 8 feet of water. I'd like pitched bushes on the Friday and never even got a hit. And I noticed that the fish were a little, when I was pre-fishing, if I got a bite, it was deeper out. And so I didn't realize that the water had come up 3 feet. I knew it was full pull, but when I saw the water, I'd never seen it that full. So I knew that I couldn't catch fish on the side, in the bushes. So I've noticed that's in the past, that's what I've done at Melvern, is fish deeper, and I've been able to catch fish. So that's kind of what I started doing. And I think I only got my limit at about 9:30. So I only had like 5 fish up until about 9:30, and then there were pockets of feedings. I'd go like 15, 20, 25 minutes without a fish, and then suddenly I'd get 3, 4 fish. And I was getting fish probably a lot of fish in the 13 to 15 range. I had to cycle through quite a lot of fish before I could get a 16-incher. And that's really what I did, is I just cycled through, just found different. There were definitely key areas that I found that had some fish, and it would just wait until there was those feeding sprees, and then I'd get fish. They did at about noon. They did actually move up to the bank, because there was a stretch of about 45 minutes where I couldn't get a fish in 5 to 8 feet of water, but I was getting it in 1 to 2 feet of water, and then it just went dead. I didn't get another fish on the banks after that. So yeah, I pretty much had to grind through. I probably caught 20 to 30 fish that day. A lot of them in the 13 to 15 range, but it was I struggled. Well, I got a few 16s and then the 2 17s, and that's what made my tournament. So,
wow.
I think the biggest fish came 15 minutes before the end of the tournament, and there's a story on that as well.
Go ahead, we got time.
As I say, there was one key spot that I keyed in on, and I seemed to get like bigger bites on that spot, and so Kevin Kerr had been sitting on that spot. Yeah, I think he had lost a big fish there as well. And so I was kind of eyeing it, saying if he moved off it, I'd maybe slot in behind him. But he had been there for about 45 minutes to an hour. And so I was about to actually head back to the marina, and I saw him start packing up, and he was heading out. So I got past him and I said, "Hey, do you mind if I just have a couple of casts?" And he said, "Yeah, go for it." And so I grabbed a rod, I cast in first cast, and I saw my line start moving, and I was using I fish BFS rods. I got 1 BFS rods that I like fishing TRDs on, and so I saw this fish start moving my line, and I set the hook, and I don't know what happened, but my rod doubled over, and my line must have got caught around the tip of my rod, and I couldn't reel in. The fish was swimming towards me, and the next minute the lure just like came flying past my head. But it was a good fish, so I threw that rod down. I picked up another rod. I flipped back into the same spot. Same thing. Fish picked me up and started swimming away. I set the hook, and my line broke.
Oh my goodness!
I thought, all right, what's the chance of this happening a third time? So I threw that rod down, picked up the third rod. Cast in there again, same deal. The line starts moving, hit it the third time, and then I connected with it, and it was a 17.75, and I literally had 4 minutes to take the picture and get it, get it on the board and get it submitted. So wow. The next minute I heard Todd must have slid in behind me at some point. I didn't even know it was behind me. And I heard this, man, that was clutch. Turn around, he was busy sitting there watching me. I said, well, I hope you didn't take a video of that, because that was the biggest cluster that I've ever done. 3 fish, 3 casts, it took me 3 chances to get 1 damn fish. So I don't know if it was the same fish or if it was 3 different fish. I wish I'd actually pitched in a 4th time to see if there was another one there, but after that I was like spent. I was done.
That's pretty cool.
We hear that a lot on the podcast, of that last 15 minutes of tournament, someone catching that one that got him from no payday to payday, or moved him up a spot or 2.
I think it was like a 2.5 inch. I think my smallest was like a 15, so 15.25. So it was like a 2.5 inch. Upgrade for me. So which was but crazy.
That's pretty amazing. Well, Jeff, what about you? How did your day start, and did you have a plan? I know you pre-fished for like 5 days straight.
No, I didn't pre-fish at all. I didn't even know I was going until about 8 o'clock the night before, and so then I was up all night getting stuff ready, and I knew the lake was high, and I don't have a vehicle at the moment. Somebody wrecked into it in a parking lot, so it's been totaled out, and they didn't have insurance, so I have to get rides to the tournament. So my ride was running late, so I didn't get to the boat ramp until 6:25. I went to the west ramp at the state park, and like I said, I knew the water was high, and I knew it was going to be stained at the very least on the north side of the lake. And I got out there and just scrambling to try to fish something. I started on the in the east side of that cove there. It took me 5 minutes to realize that was not where I needed to fish. And so I just headed across the cove to that first point. I wanted to hit the rock wall that was off on the east there, or the west there, sorry. But there was somebody, I don't know who it was, they were coming up that bank. They were still about 200 yards or 300 yards away. But I was like, I'm running late. I'm not even, that guy, I'm not going to get in his way. He's coming that way anyways. I'll just go to that point. And I went to that point, and luckily, like Cole and Mark were saying, I figured the fish weren't going to be beyond the old bank. I figured they might be coming up, but that first point's like little rocks, and it had a big tree coming out in the water, and I threw a big black spinnerbait over the top of it with copper blades, and I caught 13 and 3/4 inch smallmouth. And I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Whipped that spinnerbait around some more, didn't catch nothing, kind of went in that little cove. Went around the other side of that. There's just a little bend on that point, and through this little Ned jig thing I put together the night before. Again, a piece of wood coming out on them little rocks, and first cast, another 13 and 3/4, and then the next cast was the 18.5 incher, and so I just started screw everything else. I'm just gonna look for them little beaches with little rocks and wood coming off the beach, and that's all I hit just on that point. And went down to the next one, caught a 17.5 incher, and fished around a little bit more, and went back to that tree that I had. I caught the 18 and the 13 on, and I only caught 6 fish all day. Unlike these guys catching 30, 40 fish, I caught 6 fish. I cast back up to that tree, and I was probably getting snagged. I was probably working a snag out every other cast, probably at least, because I was casting up to the shallows, but it was about the time I got out to about 3 or 4 foot deep was when they were hammering it. But I got snagged, and it was bad when I took my boat or my kayak all the way up there, and I'm probably in 4 foot of water right on top of the snag, and I pop it out, and I get slammed by a 14 incher, so threw him in the boat, and that was bad. One of the other ones, I'm trying to net it, and it jumps off and jumps up and lands back in the net. So I kind of got lucky. After about it, and I had to limit probably at 10:30, and then after that, I caught one more. Working down towards the dam, and I didn't have hardly anything after that. So I threw glide bait though probably half the time when I wasn't throwing. If I got around like the flooded bushes, I would throw that glide bait around and stuff. But it's a 6-inch glide, but I didn't have any luck on it whatsoever. But like I said, I didn't know it. I went out there blind. So
should go out blind more often.
Yeah, once your day, it's your day.
I haven't fished Melvern since last year's KKA when the wind, my trolling motor and battery quit, and the wind blew me so far back in that little cove over there, I couldn't paddle out of it, and I had to drag my boat into the woods and drag it like 500 yards through freaking woods, and then go all the way down, get my truck, come back, I load up my kayak, drive all the way around the other side of the lake, like 25-minute, 30-minute drive. I get over there, no paddle. Where's my paddle? Had to drive all the way back over. I left it in the woods somehow. It was just a nightmare last year. But
I can attest to that story. I was there watching him struggle. So last year was bad for me. Everything was a struggle except for one tournament, I think. Something went wrong in every tournament. Motor, battery. Yeah. So well, yeah, that's about it.
All right, Tony, you want to take over?
Yeah, before we get into some fun questions, just rapid fire questions. Let's talk about and people watching too. Put your thoughts in the comments so we can see what you guys think. Let's talk about the State Lake Roadrunner. Tim, I'm gonna ask you where are you going? No, I'm kidding. Where do you think?
State Fishing Lake.
Yeah,
it's 10 minutes.
What do you think is going to be key in that tournament? How many inches do you think it'll take to win?
I think it's going to take 90, probably inches, 92 inches to win, depending on which state lake it is. But I think, honestly, spinner baits, top water, probably crawls, black and blue, something like that, depending on where people go. But I think it's going to be probably down south somewhere, honestly.
Yeah.
My opinion on that. So
you got yours picked out yet?
Me?
Or do you have a handful of them picked out yet?
Me?
You don't have to tell me where. I'm just saying, do you have any ideas?
Yeah, Shawnee North State Fishing Lake.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Cole's got a story from there.
I actually will go there and try it. And if I catch 80 inches, then I'm gonna probably go there
Yeah.
because it's 10 minutes from my house. I'll call it good.
I wish Shawnee Lake was on there, like Shawnee Lake by my house, Shawnee Lake, because it'd be nice
Well,
not to
Shawnee
go
Creek is
anywhere.
a state lake, so maybe I'll go up. No.
Clayton says Derek is going to win at Douglas. Yeah, did you guys
Yeah,
hear
you're
about
probably
Derek's
right.
story? Derek,
If he does it
oh,
twice in a row, it'd be incredible.
yeah,
That's crazy.
what an incredible night. He finally beat my Perry 55 inches. So I've got to come back to more sunflowers and beat him. So
221s in a night. That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Especially
And
at Douglas.
Morning Dew Fish, and check out his Melvern Lake video. It's a fun watch, actually.
Yeah,
And that's Doug. So he said Patton is a hammer. Yeah, I guess. So what about you, Jeff? You got a couple places picked out. What do you think it'll take to win?
I think I'm going where I know I caught 84, 85 inches there in a tournament a couple years ago.
Yeah.
So
let me know if you need a ride.
yeah, man. It's a good lake, man. It can. I think there was 3 of us that had over 80 inches at the end of the day, and it's not a very big lake, so there's a lot of good ones in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might be seeing 2 brothers there as well, possibly.
Yeah, man. Go down there and tear them up.
Yeah.
I don't have any other one on. I haven't fished that many state lakes to really.
Yeah.
And I don't got any way to go be pre-fishing like I want to. So
I don't know how many state lakes I have knocked out, but it's got to be at least 25, 30 I've done over the last 5 years. So just from like between sunflower and KKA stuff, and just for fun, I've fished quite a few of them. So on all areas of Kansas, except all the way west. Mark, what about you? What do you think? You got any ideas?
I don't. I've actually got to start figuring that out because I haven't fished a lot of. I fished Douglas maybe 3-4 years ago. Was the last time I fished that, and I was looking at those lakes, and I haven't fished any of them. So I'm probably going to have to. I'm either going to go far or stay close and just say, this is going to be one of these.
Yeah.
And just go for it and hopefully catch some fish. But yeah, I think it's going to be close to 90 or over 90 inches, because I know some of those lakes can have some big fish in it. I just don't know which ones do.
Well, the problem is if you pre-fish it the night before on a Friday, you catch 2 5-pounders, you're done.
Yeah,
you're done for Saturday. So you got to fish it like a week or 2 before, and then hope it's still on. Right.
That's a good strategy. So
problem is the weather's going to change over the next month anyway. So it's whatever you find this now, it's probably going to change by then anyway. But yeah.
Cole, what about you? Are you able to make this one?
It's probably pretty low odds this round. I am, of course, going to see if I can, but I got a family thing going on at the lake place in Missouri. So if I do go, it's going to be what's the closest drive I can throw and go for it. But I think that my thoughts are it's every state lake can kind of offer something different, but that time of year there's going to be a lot of activity. The bass are going to be really active is my guess, more than any other time within reason. They should be doing a little more fry guarding and still trying to feed up. All we care about is length, not weight, right? So but I would say that I could really see, I'm like you, I've fished a lot of state lakes. I enjoy those smaller environments. They're easier to break down. There's a lot of good ones. And I wouldn't be surprised if it's one that most people aren't considering, just based on, some of those can go pretty unnoticed for a long time for big fish. And I'm going to predict probably right at about 94 to 95 inches is what it's going to take. I'm going to assume that someone's going to get on one and have a minimum of 18-inch fish on the small end of their stringer and get lucky and hit a few 20 plus, inch fish.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I would say, I'm guessing I'm looking at the last one we did, which I wasn't able to make, but I think it was around 92 and a half to win. So that's kind of what I was thinking, like 92 to 93 range as well. If the weather's right, and and you never know, you might have someone show up to that lake that would have produced 95 inches, but there's 3 people fishing it too. So
Well,
yeah.
it's funny you say that, because with the high pressure, I'm sure you guys also looked at the All-American. I mean, Melvern was a tough. They were a lot more tight-lipped, right? You can go to Melvern in the summertime and catch a fish every other cast. You know, it might be a 10-inch smallie. You find, rock, a wing wall, something. And I did notice they were real shut down. They weren't feeding. You had to find them. And so saw that across a lot of other tournaments in the Midwest that day. And I don't know if that was the high pressure system moving through. So you're right. It could also depend on what it looks like the day of the tournament. But I just thought that was interesting how not only was Melvern a lot more tight-lipped than it normally is fishing wise, but it was that way just even outside that reservoir.
Yeah, because I had gone, because I didn't pre-fish the day before. I pre-fished. Now I kind of wish I would have, because I did horrible, but I fished like 2 weeks before that cold front and the rain came in. It was like, oh, another 16, another 17, which was what I was hoping for, but I wasn't able to produce that on tournament day. But it is what it is.
How was the day after the tournament? How did it fish Sunday?
Horrible.
Really?
Horrible. But we were on a big pontoon boat, so and we had some kids with us, and I literally wasn't fishing that much.
Were they letting out water by Sunday?
What's that?
Were they letting out water by Sunday?
I didn't really pay attention. It wasn't really. I was just going out for fun, take some family out, so wasn't really paying attention to all that stuff. I was just like trying to get everybody at least catch a couple fish, which everybody did, but there were some white bass, and my nephew caught a 20-inch walleye too, which was really nice. So so we all got on some fish, but it wasn't like every cast. So
did you guys see Clinton Lake the same weekend? Was it the college tournament? They caught 4 fish on Saturday, the whole tournament. Yeah. So it was tight-lipped. And then Sunday, what they catch? They catch 6 fish on Sunday, or did they catch more than that total with all the boats?
I don't know this. I didn't look at the Sunday one.
It was rough for them. It was really rough. So it was a rough weekend.
It was a busy weekend.
That lake's tough anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, that lake's tough.
Can humble you really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I've had some good days there, though. I can tell you that much.
Well, we went and practiced. We went pre-fishing there a couple years ago. We were big ones, and then I don't think we caught. I didn't catch another bass there the rest of the year. Yeah,
I mean, I've got some nice ones. I've seen some nice ones come out of there, but it's like one person catches one big fish, and everybody else catches 10 inches, 12 inches.
Yeah.
So
that's how it's been forever. Though 20 years ago, when I was doing bass boat tournaments, there'd be 35 two-person teams, and there'd be maybe 4 people that had a keeper fish, because it was like 21 length or 18-inch limit or something back then. Maybe 4 people. If you caught a fish that was a keeper, you were in the money. There may be 4 boats would bring in a weighable fish.
Yeah.
Well, what? We give a shout out too, Tony, to Clayton Westgate for 4th and John Quanstrom.
Oh yeah. So John Quanstrom for 5th. Yeah, I forgot to mention that earlier. Thanks for the reminder.
Yep.
Yeah, nice job to Clayton and John as well. I do have one more question, and then Tim will go through the rotate back and forth on some of the rapid fire questions. But there was a lot of people there. I know that we were competing with the All-American, and I know at least 4 or 5 people didn't come to Melbourne because of that. I mean, we had 37 people still turn out, and I think we have 16 or 17 rookies. So, Jeff, I'll start with you. Is there any advice you give to somebody who this is their first year, maybe their first or second tournament? I know I talked to 2 or 3 people that this is their first tournament they ever did. Any bit of advice?
The best advice I give is talk to people that have been fishing the tournaments for a few years, or the people that are consistently in the top 3 or 5 or 10 even, you learn so much from them. And fish with what you're comfortable with, fish with what you have confidence in, and just that'd be my best advice.
It's pretty good advice. I don't listen to that advice myself sometimes, and I pay. So
that's the worst feeling when you're in a tournament, you get tail spun to where you're trying stuff you've never really tried, and you're just that's the worst place to be in.
Yeah.
That's what I'd say. Try to fish with what you feel good about fishing and figure them out. Force
Mark,
feed them
what-
if they ain't eating it. Force feed them.
Yeah. Yeah. I tried that. That didn't work for me.
Yeah.
Mark, what about you? You got a piece of advice for?
Yeah, I think I'd
Yeah.
echo what Jeff's saying is to do things that you're comfortable with. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Chat with folks that are around. Like most guys are camping the night before or whatever. Head on over. Like Austin, he popped over to us and he chatted with us on Friday night while we were camping. I hadn't really spoken to him much the night in other tournaments. So yeah, just hit up folks that are around and chat. Everybody's pretty. I think that's one thing I've enjoyed with this club over the years is folks are pretty open and they're willing to share ideas and chat about things and help folks out. And even on non-tournaments, if you live close to somebody, hit them up and say, hey, let's go fun fishing at a lake close to home or something like that. I've done that with some guys as well. So yeah, just talk and just learn as much as you can with the people around you. Everybody's pretty awesome.
Yeah, one of the people that follows the Kansas Kayak Anglers Facebook post or Facebook page. I don't think he actually has done a lot of tournaments or any tournaments with us, but he had mentioned something in there about how nice it is that you guys are so supportive of each other. And he had posted that, like, he's shocked how supportive we are each other on the page, like congratulating each other. You know, I got last place, but hey, man, you know, Cole, great job for first place, right? Like stuff like that. I think I don't remember what place I got, but it was close to that. But nonetheless, you know, we're here for each other and we're out there. Nobody's going to retire on winning a bass tournament or one of the kayak tournaments, but you know, at the end of the day, we're all there to have fun and get out and be outside. So I echo both of what you said. Cole, what about you?
Yeah, I think I've mentioned this maybe poor advice because I think you should definitely go be competitive. I'm not saying to not be competitive in the tournament, but I think you can try to be competitive against the anglers around you, or you can be competitive against yourself. And those are two very different things. One is kind of looking at someone as someone you're trying to overcome versus going out on the water and seeing what you can do and how you push your own limits. Makes the scene that we have here a little different, to your point, Tony, that, you know, we're all cheering each other on. We want people to do well, and frustration you have is often should be kind of back at yourself, not at someone else that did better. And I think when I got that mindset, it changed how I walk away from a tournament. You know, I don't, you know, you don't place first every time. That's not a thing, right? And it's but it's also, I always say, well, what did I learn? You know, what did I gain, add to my arsenal in this? Because when you're new, sometimes it's the little goals, right? Just catching a limit, you know, seems like, you know, a tough task. And then you start to get consistent because you're confident in a handful of baits that you know are going to catch fish. And now it's, well, can that limit be at least 15 inches, right? A keeper limit. And knowing that luck does strike in this, but I think if you just really set your mindset to what can you do, it takes away kind of the drama of the tournaments and feeling like something's, you know, out of your control, and you have fun and you root people on next to you.
Yeah, agreed. We all cruising around having good conversations. How'd you do today? Oh, it sucked. Yeah, me too. Oh, that makes me feel better. You know, wasn't just me. Misery loves company, I guess. All right. Well, we're gonna just do some rapid fire, like just, you know, yes, no, you know, answer one, you know, quick questions. Tim, do you want to do that? You want to kick us off with a couple rapid fire? We'll just kind of rotate.
Yeah, we'll start with Jeff. Jeff, were you chasing largemouth or smallmouth?
Smallmouth.
Smallmouth all day.
Yeah.
Mark?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, Jeff.
Smallmouth.
Yep. Cole?
Smallies for me, man. It's it'd be hard to convince me to change. The only largemouth I caught was an accidental catch, and I say that as I was scoring. Had just finished taking photos of a smallmouth. While it was netted, I took my bait and threw it over the side so it wasn't in the way, and just had snapped my last picture and got ready to lift my board and, you know, put her back in the water when I thought my lure was caught on the bottom because my boat was drifting around. And there was a 19.5-inch largemouth on the other side of it. So
did you play the lottery when you went home that night?
I should have. I think I joked with you guys at the results. I was like, next time that fish is gonna flop me off the board without a photo, and and I'm gonna catch one that breaks the line. So I'm due.
Yeah. And then you want to tell a story? I don't know if you want to or not. That you said you lost one that were actually larger than the ones that you.
I did. So once I had caught a few, and thank goodness I did on the glide because I wouldn't have committed to it. I had one that just annihilated the glide, came out of the water, ended up getting me wrapped on a piece of structure to where I could see it. And I don't talk about fish I lost because there's fish that what burns me up are the fish that I lose, right? Some fish are going to flop you. They're going to jump. You're not going to have them pegged very well. I can get over that. But this one had me wrapped up on this piece of structure. And eventually I knew it was just big enough. I was waiting and it broke it, but I was close enough. I was over the top, got a good look, and it was a very sizable largemouth. And had another one do it as well that wasn't quite as big as the first one, but obviously can't be upset about it. So it all still worked out.
Nice.
Doug at Morning Dew Fishing is asking you a question, Cole. Can you talk a little bit more about inflow, outflow, and do you think fish are moving on a daily basis or even within the same day? And you check water flow graphs during the tournament?
So I don't typically check them much during the tournament, mainly because the core kind of sets the generation schedule and they don't tend to move it a whole lot. They will bump it randomly. But when you think about, and I'm going to talk specifically about a reservoir, like a core of Engineers Lake, because it's a water control structure, after big rains happen, it's not instantly. They don't always open up the dam right away. They want to let the water subside that's natural runoff. So you'll have a lake and there'll be one graph when you look at the USGS graph that shows inflow. And that inflow is going to show, okay, it started raining. It takes a couple hours, right, for all the tributaries drain in. And it's going to tell you it's going to say CFS, cubic feet a second. And that's going to tell you the volume of water coming in. And if you see a big spike, you can assume muddy water, lakes coming up, and they'll have a graph that shows by foot how high the lake has gone up. And what's tricky about those graphs is you have to understand what a lake is at pool. So it'll have a certain height, 1,900 feet or 1,900 surface acres, however they measure it. But they do look at each, increment of growth. So if you say, wow, at pool, and the lake has been at pool this week, now suddenly it's 4 foot high like Melvern was, the water was up. But on the same graph, will show the inflow rate, you'll see them going down. But then all of a sudden the outflow, because it's controlled, most of our core lakes, when they're not releasing water, it's going to stay 50. That's the minimum opening that they have that lets water trickle out if you ever go down below a dam. And for us, I believe it was Wednesday, they typically open it up about half of what they're going to get to day one. So they opened it up to about 250 cubic feet a second. And by Thursday, they had cranked it up to 5, and I think it got to 700 cubic feet a second. And this is something you just learn on the water, but anytime you're over 500 cubic feet a second, depends on the size of the reservoir, you can expect 6 to 8 inches of the water dropping in a day. And that's significant to a bass, because if they are up really shallow, they really, especially larger fish, don't want to get caught. They don't want to get caught up in a little puddle or a place they can't get back out of. And they feel that. And so just like they feel the water coming up, they're going to move stupid shallow. You're going to catch them in almost nothing of water. And then all of a sudden it's releasing and they won't go back. It's just a response to protect themselves. So especially on core lakes, learning how to read those graphs, isn't going to be the end all be all. I caught a few shallow as well. I won't say that none of them weren't moving up, but smallmouth in particular have feeding windows. They tend to stage at a certain depth. Then they move up and they feed aggressively and they like really shallow, rocky water. And so I noticed that window was just much less, and the banks they wanted to be shallow up on were very steep banks. So they weren't real gradual. You know, at some points they're a foot deep for what seems like forever, and smallies will move up. Those are the ones they get hesitant on when the water's dropping, but those more sheer, like wing ball style banks, they'll still move up real shallow on those to feed because they're comfortable getting back out.
That makes sense.
Doug also said that seemed really important last year in many Moyak tourneys and 10 killer last year, and I didn't catch on.
Mm-hmm.
I would agree with him 100% because I did a couple of those with him, and it's very important. And I thought I knew what I was doing, but I did not because I kind of got skunked. So it's a lot to learn. So,
well, Jeff, do you have any tournament superstitions? Like a banana in the boat, or
Nah, that's crazy. I don't.
no, none.
I've tried to start some, but they just don't catch on. So.
Mark, do you have one?
I don't. Pretty much
Nope.
go out in the morning and just plan to have fun and see how I do. So yeah.
Cole?
I don't have any real ones, but I hate catching big fish pre-fishing. I don't know why. It always feels like a bad omen to me because I tend, like I said, to pre-fish areas I don't plan to fish in the morning. And so if I catch a big one, I'm like, well, crap, this is going to be a sucky tournament tomorrow. So I guess I try not to catch big ones before the tournament. What about you guys?
well, John said that's about your little spiel on lake, but he assumed that there were would be bushes on the bank, and they were not. So
Yeah.
I was actually going deeper, but I think I was going a little too deep. I was in like 8 to 9 foot of water, and so in the morning, so I personally went a little too deep. So my superstitions, I don't have one, but Jeff, I'm going to add to what you said. It seems like Tim and I bring people good luck. So if we let somebody stay with us, we give somebody a ride or something like that, they always do good.
Or win.
So, yeah, or win. Yeah. So
Derek did that at Milford. He was like, he hadn't pre-fished or anything, and we are like, yeah, you can come stay with us. Just stay in the cabin. And he was going through his baits and he was tying on everything I was catching the fish on that day. And I was like, yeah, it looks pretty good. And then he went out and won the dang tournament.
Yeah. So
yeah.
Make sure you hit Tim and I up on a Friday night before the tournament, and you'll probably do well. So it doesn't help us out at all, but it helps those
not
people.
at all.
So
I think my superstition is if I show up at a bank where Cole or Clayton's at, I'm like, oh yeah, I picked the right spot.
I guess I don't like catching a fish on the first cast. It's just weird to me.
Yeah.
I always feel like it could be a bad omen, or it seems like it could be.
yeah,
But I don't put too much stock into it.
yeah. Jeff, did you go after windy spots or calm locations when you started in the morning?
It wasn't. I knew the wind was going to be banging on the banks over there, but it didn't. I really wasn't worried about that at first. Like I said, I had no time to pre-fish. I did, other than knowing the water was 3 foot high, and other than knowing that, knowing it'd probably be a little muddy, I really didn't put wind into a factor. Wind blown banks, obviously, I would look for, but I was on that side of the lake. It was the shortest trip to get to a boat ramp, so I could get there on time, and just took what I could get, I guess.
Worked well for you though.
Yeah, I guess so.
Mark, what about you? Did you go to like a calm location, or did you start at windy spots? What'd you decide to do?
I started on a windy spot. I like the wind. I always find that if it's dead calm, I struggle to catch fish, and whenever there's wind, it seems to make things a little bit better. So yeah, I'm always trying to focus with whatever area I'm at. There's a bit of wind at least. I always seem to prefer that.
I was watching something that said based on all these different tournaments and stuff, that 7 mile per hour wind is like your best chance of catching a big fish. Like 7 miles per hour wind is like the best speed.
Yeah.
So, Cole, what about you? Did you go calm or windy? Start out with.
Well, I mean, I would have gone windy. I didn't know if there was a windy spot in the morning, or at least where I was at, it was so damn calm. But it's funny you mentioned that. Mark and I were debriefing after the tournament, and I always like to nerd out with Mark, random theories, things I'm learning in it. And I was in a spot that could be dead calm one minute, could be windy the next, right? And it was always the windy moments that I caught fish, and the dead calm ones were tough. And I know that this year I've been playing a lot with obviously scoping fish, not to, see them, cast at them, and catch them. Still not great at that, but more of I like to kind of watch the column my bait's going through just to see what I can learn by behavior. And it was interesting this tournament. I don't know if it was the high pressure or maybe just fishing pressure they've experienced over the last month, but I was very intentional about making really long casts and hiding my kayak. That's been a kind of a new thing for me. Is I had a theory for a while that bass felt live scope and they ran from it, right? If you guys have ever used it, you've shined one and you've watched it drop low. So I've been on this hunt to figure out, from can they feel the hurts, and most science says no, but nothing's definitive on their lateral line. But the thing I was figuring out is how much my kayak shadow mattered. More particularly with my motor, I was so used to in my Xide 3 days of using heading lock going down a bank. And because my transducer for live scope is mounted behind it, I started noticing that even if the sun was just right, I could almost see the shadow of my propeller turning. Have you guys ever been there or seen that?
I've definitely seen the shadow of like my kayak and stuff, but I don't know if I've seen the shadow of my propeller.
I've seen that on it. Maybe it's just because I don't drop mine very low. And I've started noticing that when I shut my motor off completely and I'd feather it into position, I caught more. And so I ran that. I don't know, Mark, if you noticed the same thing, but I was really intentional about longer casts. Mentioned I did catch some right under the boat, give it what it's worth. But the smallies would seem to spook off of that kind of their feeding grounds anytime I got within 20 yards of them. But they would follow like I didn't exist,
Yeah, I found that I did find that most of my fish came at the end of a cast, like the further I could cast it up, the better it was. And a lot of my fish didn't even, it felt spongy. I didn't feel a tick. I would just either see the line moving. They were real thing. And I think 90% of my fish came at the end of a cast. It was very rare that I got a fish halfway back to the boat or close to the boat. So that was one of the. I did actually notice that when Cole and I chatted a little bit after. That was one of the things that I mentioned. It was kind of crazy because I would see there would be a lot of guys fishing around me, and I saw them fishing close to the bank, making shorter casts, and I didn't see a lot of guys catching fish around me, and there was quite a few. But yeah, the further I could get it away from them, seemed to be the better.
So they weren't biting very hard. Like you were just getting like they were hammering. I mean, they were choking on what I was throwing. I'd have to retie almost every time because my line would be all frayed inside their mouth.
I normally you can feel the tick or you'd feel the bite kind of thing. These I would just because I don't, and maybe it was I was fishing straight into the wind. I would 9 times out of 10 I would see my line moving before I felt a fish. Right. Or as I say, it was the bites were real subtle, especially the bigger ones.
Right. Interesting. Tony, what about you? Wind or calm?
Well, I went to the wind, but it didn't work out for me. So, but I think I was probably fishing a little too deep. I was thinking they were going to be just pulled off a little bit with the cold front, and was my thought. And they would have pulled off a little bit deeper. And so, like I said, I was kind of fishing even down 8 to 12, thinking I was going to get a bigger bite, and it didn't pay out for me. So, what about you, Tim?
Yeah, I fished the windiest bank in the lake, so I ended up getting like 3 13s, but usually that bank produces a pretty big fish, and it did not. So I tried.
I do have a question in addition to that for you, Mark, because we were talking a little bit, and well, I guess I call it the green room before the show, and I know it sounded like Cole talked you into it. And I know Cole's talked about it before, but that Garmin Current that you've got this year, you think that helps a lot in the wind, like being able to fish with the wind versus kind of,
Yeah, I've always been the proponent of you need to face into the wind, but and I'll still enjoy fishing more into the wind than fishing with my back to the wind. But there were times that I was using the Garmin Current to flip it around, and using the wind to give me extra longer casts seemed to help a little bit as well. So, to be honest, moving to the Current and having the motor at the back, I've just got nothing good thing to say about it. It's the foot control steering is awesome. The heading lock on it. If I wanted to be face into the wind, I could put it on heading lock and get the speed just right, and it would keep me dead straight. The XR3 used to always like zigzag me all around and all of that. And, but I was really impressed. This was a tournament. This tournament was the third time I'd had the motor out there, and I was really impressed with it, with the wind and everything else. And I think, having the not as deterred about having the spot lock on the back of the kayak. I think there's certain situations that actually can help you out. Like the first 45 minutes of the morning, I was fishing on with my kayak, the wind to my back, and it was solid. And I caught 3 fish first thing in the morning in the first 45 minutes with it like that. So I'm starting to warm up to the idea of having the spot lock in the back.
Very nice. Is that motor pretty easy to hook up?
It's easy to rig up. It's like there's nothing to it. If you've got track, you don't have to draw anything. It's slap a mount on the back, run your line up, and the biggest thing was just trying to figure out how to mount the side pedals on the track.
Mm-hmm.
The big rig seems to have a bit of a wider gunnel, but once you figure out, that was the most complicated thing, was actually figuring out how to attach the pedals and whether I wanted the pedals up high versus low, because you've got options with that as well. And but putting the motor attaching literally can take you like 45 minutes, and you can have that motor up and running on a kayak and ready to go. It's so easy.
Nice.
I know John got one too, Quanstrom. And what do you use to? Is there like a button you can push, or how do you raise and lower it?
You've got a pull cord, just like you have on the Ketch. You've got a pull cord that lifts it up and drops it down. And as I say, it comes with all the hardware. You don't have to. They give you so much hardware. They even give you like rigging bullet type things that if you don't have holes to rig it in, they've got it that you can actually put threaded inserts into the kayak for you to actually make stuff. It's like it's ridiculous the amount of hardware you get. They cover every situation under the sun with it.
Well, that's really nice. I know, like when I got my Garmin light scope and stuff like that, and my fish finder, that they just there's so much hardware. I'm like, what am I supposed to use?
Yeah.
So that's actually a good problem to have. So, do you have a Garmin like a 93 SV or something, or you have?
I upgraded to the 106 this year. So
how is those sync and stuff like that?
Yep, I actually figured out how to actually do a route with it on Saturday as well, and you can actually plot a route on your fish finder, and then you just set the speed, and it will actually move you along, and that worked as well.
That's pretty awesome.
It is.
All right. Tony, you asked the next question. I'll let you take it.
Sure. Jeff, what would you say is your confidence bait? Like the one you always have tied on everywhere you go. Do you have one?
Yeah, I do. It used to be a swim jig. I was big on that, but you and your brother got me into Ned rig and the wacky rig, man. And I can't.
Yeah.
I love that Ned rig and them finesse jigs. I really took a liking to them. So I always have one of them tied on. Always.
Yeah.
And a swim jig. I always have a swim jig tied on too with a trailer on it or whatever.
Those are definitely some of my favorite baits. And actually, I've gotten into a lot of different finesse jigs. Except the ones that Clayton made me at CNC Custom Baits. Check them out. But
I didn't know how to fish awesome. Until you showed me like a year and a half ago, and I fish it. I fish it.
And now you're beating me.
Same with wacky rig.
Yeah.
You showed me how to fish wacky rig. You showed me how to fish a Ned rig. I've been fishing 35 years. So I'm a power fisherman. I never was into the finesse stuff or the, plastics and stuff. I love them.
Yeah.
It's probably my favorite way to fish anymore is Ned rig type stuff and wacky rigs.
Yeah. What do we start, Tim?
I don't know. I retired already, but
Yeah. I got to think about the next thing I want to switch to now that everybody's using the same stuff I am. Mark, what about you? I think I know the answer to this, but what's your confidence bait?
Well, it's two. It's the Ned rig and it's the shaky head, and that's pretty much what I alternated with most of Saturday with was the two. I would fish a couple of 30 minutes with one. If I didn't get any bites, I'd flip over and I'd start catching on the other one. So two different colors, green pumpkin, and I do like when the water gets stained. I do like using plum, 7-inch zoom shaky magnums. So yeah, I went from a 3-inch TRD to a 7-inch shaky worm, and both were working. I think I probably was a 50-50 split for the weekend on what I was catching up. But yeah, those are my confidence baits.
I just don't use a shaky head enough. I need to use them more often. I just don't.
That's a big Ned rig.
I know it is.
I've got like everybody talks about. It's like a Nika rig. It's like those should be almost like I can't fish a Nika rig, a wacky rig. Just those are two things that I wish I had the patience to fish. I just don't.
Cole, what about you? What's the one bait you always have tied on?
No, I'll always have some kind of Cinco bait. I've maybe shared this before, but I love the versatility. Is a Cinco can be a shaky head. It can be a wacky rig. You can change the fall pattern, and it's just one of those that always works to an extent. So that's kind of my go-to. You'll always see some type of Cinco tied on in some way, depending on the water we're fishing.
And if you're Joe Bailey, you can cut him in half and use them as Ned rigs too.
That's what I was doing Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cutting part of them off and using them.
Jim, you want to ask the next question?
Yeah, actually, tell me what's yours.
We
already know.
Yeah, pretty much the same as Jeff's. Finesse jigs. I don't use the Ned rigs as much as I used to. So I'd say finesse jig and wacky rig. You?
Yeah, all mine came off a finesse jig pretty much on Saturday, but this year I think I chatterbait. Last year had been a spinner bait. This year a chatterbait. I probably caught 700 bass on a chatterbait this year. So yeah, that's nice.
I don't use a chatterbait ever. I feel like I should, but
I did not.
The confidence thing, I just can't. The few times I've thrown it, I don't have no. I might as well just throw a swim jig. I feel.
I run a trailer hook on everything: chatterbait, spinner bait. And Todd and Austin chastised me for doing that, and so I took my trailer off my chatterbait, and I actually got more hooks and fish.
I usually have one tied on, and I'll throw it 3 casts, and I'm just like I don't feel it. I'm not comfortable with it. So.
Yeah, it's been crazy this year. But did you want to do the next one, Tony?
Yeah, I was just say, Jeff, what's the wait? Which one are we on, Tim? What's the worst tournament?
What's the worst
tournament
mistake? Yeah, that you've ever made.
Jeff, what's the worst? Yeah, sorry.
Like in a tournament, what's like one of the worst
mistake you ever made?
Yeah, like where you just kick yourself.
The worst mistake I've ever made in a tournament?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, there's lots of them. I think probably. Last year was the worst year I've ever had. I mean, I don't know, motors. I just had a lot of shit fail. Sorry, I had a lot of stuff fail last year. That some of it was probably my doing. Like maybe I didn't get batteries charged up, or I didn't have time. I didn't think I did, or something. But probably going out with a battery that wasn't fully charged is probably the worst mistake you can make. Because then it just never fails. It goes out or something. Or, cut corners on some kind of electrical wiring or something. And then next thing you know, you're out there stuck with no motor. I got towed back probably 3 times last year in tournaments. And it was just like, nothing went right.
Yeah, I've made that mistake myself. And I'm sure plenty of other people have. Forget to charge your battery, or think your battery was charged, but you had a corroded wire and it didn't charge.
Right. Then that was my problem. I always have some screw-ass corroded wire. And it just.
I may be a jumper cable just because I have it all ran through the boat, but I now carry a jumper cable. So like with 2 Anderson connectors on each end, so I can just hook that up. So I've got an extra one now because I've had that happen enough. That it's worth that.
Yeah. I went to new connectors too last year because the round ones are just junk, man.
Yeah.
But mistakes, I don't know about any like a legit mistakes from like, oh man, that was a major mistake. I don't think about them too long. So.
Yeah, move on. Mark, what about you? Any big mistakes you?
Well, I can think of two. One turned actually to be a good thing. One thing turned out to be a bad one. And actually, both of them happened at Melvern Lake. So the first one that happened was back in the day when I didn't have any motors or anything. Both of these were happening when I had a paddle kayak. But I got to Melbourne. I think I'd only fished it one time in my life before. And I got there and realized that I was updating my Garmin fish finder during the week and forgot my power cord when I got to the lake, and realized that I had no idea what depth I was going to be fishing or what I was going to be doing. But it actually turned into a good thing because I hit a bank and started throwing a whopper plopper 2 feet off the bank. And I think that's one of the tournaments that I actually placed in the top 5 or something like that, from not having any idea of what the depth was or whatever the deal was. So, and then the second one was paddling at Melbourne. I think the following year, got out there and was fishing with the wind and didn't realize how much the wind had actually, I think the wind was coming east-west, and I was about 1.5 miles away from the ramp and turned around and my eyes went wide because all I could see was white caps, 2 foot, 3 foot rollers, and it took me, I think, 1 hour and 15 minutes to paddle back in a mayfly that sits about this high off the water. So yeah, not paying attention to the wind. So I do that all the time now.
I might have just let it float me ashore and just camped overnight because
it was floating me the wrong way, and there was no ramps further down. I was all the way at the other end of the lake, and there was for me to even pull up so somebody could come and fetch me. So I had to paddle back.
Cole, what about you?
Man, I'm trying to think of. I think the one I learned the most from was way back in the day. I don't know if this was a Mocan or NECA event on Lacine Lake. This was paddle time. There was no pedal kayaks even in this era. That I went all the way to the dam from the boat ramp. Had a great day. Ended up having the winning stringer, but I severely miscalculated how bad the wind was going to get. And I was 5 minutes late getting back. This was in the era of SD cards, and you had to be shored up at a certain time. So my deduction moved me to like 4th place of the tournament, but it was like the first one that I had won. Still on me. So I learned a lot about time management at that one. And then it wasn't anything I could have changed, but it was the cluster last year at Wilson when I had that bass boat run into me at the championship. So that screwed the tournament royally, but it was a screwed up windy day, and not that I would have done much better or could have changed anything, but it's not fun to get ran into.
No.
Jeez. Tony?
Everybody's made this mistake, but when I had my PB smallmouth, 20-inch smallmouth, at 4 pounds at Clinton Lake, and it was a football, and it covered up my identifier, and so I couldn't count it on the monthly, and it would have at that time it would have made me 100 inches for the month because I had a really good month that month, and so I missed out on getting which is just kind of the for me, like, oh, that's a good month, 100 inches. That was my goal. And I missed getting 100 inches because I covered up the identifier and didn't even think about it because I was so excited for catching the fish. So, Tim, what about, I know there's a lot for you, Tim, but can you pick one?
If you watch my videos. No,
I watched your videos.
No, I was down at 10 Killer, and I was in a little boat dock because it was downpouring. And I was going back to get a bait in the NK300. I hit it full blast underneath that ramp, and it went like this and shot me up on the dock, and I almost flipped over my kayak. So I was trying to shut the motor off as it's still trying to crawl up onto the dock, but it shot me right up onto the dock, and half my kayak was up on the dock, half it was in the water, and the motor sitting there spinning, and that'll wake you up real quick. So yeah,
that's
put your
awesome.
controller away. So.
You want to ask the last question, Tim?
Yeah. Jeff, what's your favorite tournament day snack?
Oh, man. My favorite tournament day snack?
Yep. What do you like to bring along?
Whatever Tony brings me usually. Tony used to be my snack guy, but I like the Uncrustables, those little peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yep.
With no crust. I usually pack about 5 or 6 of them.
Nice.
And some applesauce and some cheese and some pudding and some yogurt.
You put it in a brown paper bag like you're in grade school? Because that's what I used to.
Yeah, it used to bring me my little lunch sack, my sack lunch.
Yeah.
I wouldn't get to the end of the tournament, though. It'd be after I'd be out there starving and thirsty and Tony's like, here, I got you a granola bar.
Yeah.
Trail mix and an Uncrustable every time.
This was mostly
your wife like, what are you doing with this stuff? I'm taking it.
Yeah, she's like, geez. I bet on the sunflowers that we both did like what? Did you do all 25 that year?
All but 2, I think. We did about every.
Yeah, I did like 24 that year. He did. And every time I'd come out there and I'd see him, I was like, do you remember any water tonight? And he's like, no. I was like, here, I brought you one. I was like, you want a snack? I think he called me Snack King for a while. So
Tony had a little change box. He'd make change for people, and
yeah.
Tony's quick trip stop.
Yeah. I'd probably make more money doing that than I would actually fishing tournaments. That's actually it's not a bad idea. A lemonade stand on the water in a kayak.
Mark, what about you?
I take a lot of I think beef jerky. I take those beef jerky sticks. I normally have 2 of those in my kayak, and then I just take a lot of snack bars like Lara bars and Cliff bars and stuff like that. Whatever I've got laying around the house. But yeah, I normally got to have beef jerky. That's kind of a big fish celebration. So I'll wait until I get that before I eat it, before I break it out.
Yeah, I have no self-control when it comes to beef jerky. So if I bring it, it's usually gone before lines end in the morning.
He'll eat like a 60-pound tub before the tournament's over. Cole, what about you?
Well, it's probably terrible to admit. I don't know that I've ever, for a tournament, ever brought food on my kayak or even ate in the tournament. But I also struggle with drinking water, and Mark can laugh because I texted him today. I finally found a damn straw that works on my canteen. Like I was like, I need a Camelback style because I hate, and I'm not that intense during a tournament, but I get so focused I forget to drink water. I definitely don't ever eat food till I get off the water. But if I had to pick, I'd be like Jeff. I love those Uncrustables. But I think I look just the most forward to those Casey trips afterwards, right? So that hits real well after a tournament.
I can't ever get out of Casey's without a slice of pizza. Call me crazy. It's like it's almost impossible. I think I seen you last year after one of the sunflowers. I pulled in to get gas and you walked out with like 2 slices of pizza. And then I went in and I walked out with like 2 slices of pizza. It was like 10 o'clock at night. It's like, what am I doing to myself? Yeah, actually, Derek, that can't go wrong with Uncrustables and beef jerky. Anybody know anybody wants to sponsor Kansas Kayak Anglers? Any beef jerky companies? Just out of curiosity. No.
Yeah, we get that Sasquatch,
What was that?
Sasquatch. Remember the Messing with Sasquatch commercials?
Yeah.
You get that in it. Get that guy out here.
Yeah, that'd be good.
I think Derek got me on Uncrustables because I was making peanut butter and jellies in the morning before and just throw them in your freaking box and go. But I usually don't eat if I'm focused and winning. If you see me eating on the water, that means I'm having a bad day and I haven't got anything. I'm usually
eating when I'm making a run. So like if I'm going across the lake or something like that, I'll grab I always take my chips. I always have like a bag of chips and peanut butter and jelly sandwich and like a Dr. Pepper or a Pepsi or something. And I'll crush the bags, the chips all up, and so I just go like this and just toss them back. And I also put my hands in there and keep digging it with my dirty fish hands. So
I thought you were going to mix it with your Dr. Pepper and you were just making a slurry out of it.
No, that's not a bad idea though. I thought about that. I was like, I should just need to take like some sort of protein shake and just down it, because I usually by like 9 o'clock I'm starting to get hungry because I'm pedaling or fishing makes me hungry. So
So like on game day, Jeff, let's start with you. What time do you usually wake up? Let's say for a Melvern Lake, like if you had your vehicle, what time would you wake up, get your day started? And
Man, I have for whatever reason the KK tournaments. I majority of the time stay up almost all night just messing with stuff and getting stuff ready. But Melvern, coming from Topeka, I'd been up at 3 a.m. at least, probably. Just got stuff ready, but I still probably wouldn't have been there until 6:15 or 6:25.
Yeah.
That's just how I work.
Mark, what about you?
I like getting up early and getting to the ramp so I don't have to rush. And one of the things I've got, like, actually, so if you talk about rituals, everything is like organized in the back of my car. And so it was a little bit screwed up on Saturday morning because I'd camped overnight and had a tent and everything was just thrown in the back of my car. So that kind of messed up my routine because I think I got half the stuff ready and then I had to go back to the car to get the rest of the stuff. But yeah, I like getting there early. I think I was awake at 4:15 and it took me about 20-30 minutes to put the tent away and get all that stuff. And so I think I was at the ramp close to 5 o'clock and also took my time getting ready. So I don't like stressing out about it in the morning. I just like getting there and taking my time to get ready.
Cole, what about yourself?
Well, I'll let you guys in on a little secret. If it wasn't for Mark Pontuti, I'd be late every morning getting the boat ramp. There's a reason why I camp with that guy, because I can count on him to at least shake my trailer and wake me up.
And get your fire right on your
yeah. Well, he's good. He doesn't wake me up. He takes him a little longer. So it's hey, 15 minutes, we got to leave. And it's me rolling out of bed. I'm a big the night before, kind of like Jeff said, I want to make sure everything's set, ready to rock. I love camping just for the fact that I know I'm going to stay up a little too late and I can sleep in just a little bit longer to get me there. But I think it's the camping ritual. Mark knows I tend to like my whiskey the night before. If you want to know exactly where I'm going and what I'm throwing, about 9 o'clock at night, you're going to get all the details from me at a tournament. But it's in the morning. I do like to be, I really enjoy that little bit of time you get between takeoff and launch, right? You don't always need the full 30 minutes, but most of us will get there and it's just that 10 minutes of nothing. You kind of scramble and putting baits where you think you want them. But I think that ritual is I kind of look forward to that. What about you guys?
Well, if you're with Tony, you got to wake up at like 3 because he's pacing back and forth. Yes, his ritual. But yeah, I like to be the first one at the ramp, which Mark and Cole beat me both at the ramp. But
Mark beat you to the ramp. I was just following. Be very clear.
I like to be the first one. It's an unwritten rule, but if you're the first one at the ramp, you already got your boat in. Someone shows up, you're like, hey, I'm going over that way. You know what I mean? So that's why I like to be the first one at the ramp because it's like, hey, I'm going right over there, just to let you know. So,
I'm not as bad as I was in the years past, but I just start. What time I wake up depends on what time the tournament starts. I have to work backwards, and it depends how far I'm away from the ramp I'm going to. So I take that into account. So let's say, like it was 6 o'clock at Melvern, and I actually stayed at home, and I'm like 40 minutes. So I'm like, okay, add 5-minute buffer because of the construction on the highway. I was like, all right, so I got to leave my house at 5:15. All right, so I got to get it. I like to have an hour from the time I wake up to the time I leave, so I can drink nice big cup of coffee, get me a nice big breakfast, even though I don't know if you call it breakfast at 3 in the morning, but and have me a breakfast and then take my sweet time getting to the ramp and not rush myself like you, Mark. If I'm rushed, I always miss something. I always forget something. I've been rushed before and I literally, push my kayak off into the water and I'm floating back and I go to push my button and realize I don't even have a motor on. So, I mean, so I'm very methodical in the morning because I have to be or else I'll forget something. So, but yeah, usually, I give myself an hour and then whatever time. Oh, well, I forgot about the 30 minutes it takes me I like to give myself 30 minutes to load everything on my kayak and get in the water. So Yeah, so I think I woke up at 3:45, 4 o'clock on at Melvern Lake for tournament day, but I kind of just work backwards. So, and I give myself buffers because something inevitably happens. So,
Jeff, I have another question for you. What lake are you most excited about this year? Like on the schedule that's left?
What do we got? We got
El Dorado, State
Dorado,
Lake Road Runner,
Perry,
Milford, no Wilson this year,
75 shootout.
which is Banner Creek.
We are going to Milford this year.
We're going to Milford. Yeah, that's the
Yeah, for the
championship in September 19th, I want to say.
Something like that.
One day.
I'm always looking forward to Milford.
Yeah.
Especially with what I've been seeing out there this year with all the big smallmouth they've been catching.
Yeah.
But I like hammering a couple of big wipers right off the bat in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of antiproductive. You don't get paid for them, but I like to get into one. So if I happen to be near one, I'll throw something out there, chunk something at it real quick.
Oh yeah.
But so I like that. But yeah, Milford. I'd say Milford probably. Perry's just so hit or miss anymore. I don't know what's going on with Perry. But so probably Milford's probably the one I would look forward to the most.
Nice. Mark?
Most potential.
Yeah.
I think I'm looking forward to Perry. I've enjoyed that lake. I need to find more spots in that lake though. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Perry.
Yeah, I can't beat you now with that new motor.
Your spot was pretty good last year.
It was good multiple weeks in a row.
Yeah.
So,
Cole?
Yeah, I think my answer isn't as much the fishing. It's just because I love learning new lakes or finding an excuse to go out on one. So I'm going to say El Dorado, even though we're probably all going to laugh after that because it can be boom or bust on that lake. Yeah, I would say that'd be the case, or maybe trying something new on the North 75. So just the opportunity to explore.
Nice.
What lakes are on the North 75? Which ones are we fishing?
Pony Creek, Banner Creek, Shawnee North, and Shawnee Lake.
Okay.
Which all have potential to actually win.
Yeah, last year, first place came from Banner.
Mm-hmm.
Second and third came from Pony, and Big Bass came from Shawnee Lake. So
I think it's been 5 years since the virus hit Shawnee North State Fishing Lake. Was it 5 years?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of got some of the big girls out of there because that place used to have 7, 8, 9 pound largemouths in it, and they kind of got wiped out of there. So if we can figure something out there,
we'll probably all meet for pizza in the same parking lot again.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Well, Tony, you got anything else to add?
Just close this out. You guys can stay on after the show for a minute.
Yep.
Any more questions from the listeners? Drop them in the chat before we finish up. I just want to say thank you all for coming on, Jeff, Mark, Cole.
Yep.
And I want to thank all the sponsors who help support Kansas Kayak Anglers. Melvern Lake Marina, especially on this one, CNC Custom Baits, Golden Belt Custom Shields, Bizz Baits, Amped Outdoors, Kayak Kushion, and Trash Panda decals. Hopefully I didn't miss. Oh yeah, and my nephew, I don't want to miss him, but he did all the stickers for us, Killer Custom Wraps. So if you need a car wrap, give him a shout. And Doug said, "Good juice, guys." I agree. But speaking of that, I know not a lot of you are sponsored, but if you got a YouTube channel you want people to check out, or social media, or a sponsor, or if you just want to say hello to somebody in your life, feel free. Jeff, anything for you?
Yeah, I was going to say that I made my catch board. It floats.
Oh, nice.
Right? Because they sink like rocks, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
I took some of that spray foam, the spray foam stuff. I turned over and I just filled like the two main cracks with it. Like not too much, but just I filled like the cavities on the back and that thing floats like a boat. Won't sink.
Oh, very nice.
That's just I don't know what made me think of that all of a sudden, but it's something to think about.
Derek said Derek gave you guys a great job at Melvern, so thanks Derek.
Appreciate it.
Nice. No shout outs, other shout outs?
Actually, I have one more question for Mark and for Cole. Did Panoptics or forward-facing sonar play a role in your win?
Good question.
It didn't play anything. Didn't play anything on mine. I think I used it. I had it a while, and eventually I just turned it off, and I just went. I knew what I just had my down and down imaging on, just so I could make sure I could stay in the right depth. But I would use it once in a while to maybe look for rock piles under the water to maybe cast towards, but it wasn't a predominant feature for me.
Okay. Cool.
Nope. Have yet to see it change my day. It confirmed maybe I caught a few fish that when I pulled the jig back to the boat, it picked up a follower and I was a little more patient on. But not other than using it as my transducer. I mean, it's what it is, but looking to see rock piles or what's out in front or, that side of things, I wasn't, wasn't hot spotting fish and catching them that way.
All right. I was just curious.
Yeah, that's a good question. I would love if when it is somebody's day, when they, classic style, throw the minnow and bang out a good limit. I'd love to see or hear somebody say they've done it, just because I've yet even, I keep catching them that way practicing, but I've not got to where I feel confident catching 5 good ones that way.
Every time I do that, it's white bass. I never get on a school of largemouth. They're smallmouth. It's always white. But I'm like, I got it down. It's white bass.
Yep.
So, yeah, since I've got live scope, I think I've caught more crappie and trout in this year than I've caught in the last 20 years of fishing. It's crazy. And not a lot of bass.
Yep.
Mark, I know you kind of sponsor Tackle Warehouse, but does anybody sponsor you? No.
I wish. I've already broken 2 rods this year, so I'm looking for another rod sponsor. I think I broke 5 or 6 last year in a 2-month period. So
I almost need to give my shout out to Mark being my sponsor, because half the time he's bailing me out with baits that I didn't bring enough of or whatever else. So shout out to Mark.
yeah.
I did break a mega bass spinning reel Tuesday night at Sunflower. I got my bait cut on the dock and I snapped it and it snapped the end off. Like a $300 rod. I was like, oh, that was my favorite tube rod, and it's gone forever. So,
I was up at the boat ramp loading my kayak, and I was hoping a guy get his kayak on his. Goes, yeah, man. I was like, yeah, it wasn't a great night for me, but it was okay. And he goes, yeah, it was better than this guy over by where I was fishing. He said, heard this loud pop, and I was like, are you okay over there? And he's like, I just broke my rod and free. I forget what'd you say? I think it was a cuss word, but anyway,
cuss words.
Yeah, and I was like, oh yeah, that was my brother. He goes, oh okay.
Oh, that one hurt. That one hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've definitely rod sponsors right now that have their rod warranties work pretty good. So I can attest to Phoenix rods.
Yeah. I might try a Phoenix rod. I've been, since I broke my rod at Melvern, I need to buy me a new rod.
Well, if you want to look at a couple, let me know, because I think I've got every brand. I've got the M1s, I've got the Feathers.
You got any for sale?
I might, because what I've had to do when I've broken a rod, I've had to buy one before I could get the work. It was quicker to get a new rod in than trying to do the warranty. So I think I might have a few extras from last year.
I'm looking for a good Ned rig rod. So. Well, anyway, any more shout outs, Cole, for you?
You obviously give Jackson a shout, who's been a main sponsor, but I'd like to give I'm having a lot of fun with some of the motor manufacturers doing testing, like Garmin, PowerPole, who's been a good sponsor as well, just to let me play, and it's fun. So if anyone that's listening today has motor questions about, from Newport to all the bow mount options and all the stern options. That doesn't mean I know everything, but I've probably tested them out and can give you at least the pros and cons that I see, and probably ask you a lot of questions about your fishing style and what pairs well, but we'll see what other innovation pops up here at ICAST.
Yeah. Awesome. Check out the podcast we had Cole on where he talked about the motors and stuff, and it was really informative. And it definitely made me want to get a Garmin Current when I can put the funds together. If I stop breaking rods. So anyway,
I'm going to shout out to Colin because he was the one that actually put me on. Current wasn't even on my radar when I was looking at motors, and he kind of said, "Hey, maybe think about it." And then I spent about 2 weeks watching videos from all the different guys that have put them on their boats and everything else, and I kind of him planting the seed definitely was a good thing. I've really enjoyed the Current the 3 times that I've taken it out, so he's got a wealth of knowledge on that.
Well, everyone, thank you for watching tonight. Tim, thanks for being the co-host with me. Or you're really the host. I'm just the co-host, but say whatever. But thanks, everybody. If you got any questions, drop them in the comments, and we'll see you next time. We might be back here in a week or two talking with some other people, and definitely back after our next tournament in June. So make sure you mark your calendars for June 13th. I don't know why I can't remember that date. June 13th for the State Lake Roadrunner, and we'll have some fun. So, all right, everybody, have a good night.
Take care.
Take care.